The New York Times just dropped an article asking where have all the good men gone, and I have an answer to them just briefly. You chased them away. Let's
This
get
is
into
amazing to
it.
me. Maybe no one taught you how to stay. Maybe you tried once and it hurt. Maybe the world told you your role was to provide, to perform, to protect, and never to feel. But here's what's real. We never needed you to be perfect. We need you to be with us, not above, not muted, not masked, just with.
Whatever.
My teddy.
The author of this article is a 54-year-old who once worked for Playboy magazine and is now lamenting the fact that men are opting out of the dating scene. She's looking for a partner or even just a good date. She can't find anyone to connect with, and she makes some claims that we've all been saying for a long time. First of all, a growing number of men are opting out of courtship, marriage, and parenthood, and that is true, especially as a father of four, as a therapist for 13 years, as a person in recovery, and as a husband. I can tell you forthrightly that my experience has been men have been pushed out of parenting, men have been pushed out of the option of having marriage, and men have been told that the Me Too movement was the answer towards courtship, that when they make a pass at a woman and they don't enjoy it, that all of a sudden they deserve to be doxxed. So that, in a nutshell, is why they've checked out. So all those three things, marriage, courtship, dating, all used to be fundamental goods. Now men are being persecuted for doing any of those.
Useless, disposable thing that is useful for my own feelings and my own pleasure and nothing else. Why don't they want to stick around and be treated that way?
She also claims that men's participation in the labor force has dropped and fewer men are pursuing higher education and male friendships are on the decline. Those are all true, as the reduction in church attendance, which this civilization was founded on, has gone through the roof. So too have male to male friendships. Men's spaces have all been taken away, as have now women's spaces in many cases. And they are not going to higher education because the entirety of that process, almost no matter what school you go to, will tell you all of your virtues are negative and toxic, and all of the virtues of the opposite gender are what you should extol and be lifting up persistently. So they don't want to hear about that anymore. And many of the higher education coded jobs are feminine focused, like HR departments or other degrees, social work, even just administrative roles. Those are things that often men don't get the same type of neurochemical reward that a female would for doing. So you can't blame a man for not wanting to engage in that, when if he can turn a wrench and make a living that's a livable wage and even build something, that possibly he'll get more rewarded. So why would he go towards higher education? But by the way, the split is about 60-40 women to men in higher education. And so some of those upper level roles that will be available in the next decade, they probably go into the ladies.
Well, zero agency sometimes. It's like a sliding scale of agency, because sometimes women are the boss and they can make anything happen that they want to. It really depends on context as to what level of agency women are given. But
That's
men
definitely true, yeah.
perpetually, pretty much across the board, are robbed of agency in that kind of a worldview.
The woman who wrote this article is blaming male laziness or men just checking out for the problem, but they have been, again, chased out, and that system has punished men for showing up. So if you want men to show up, stop punishing them for doing so.
Was to provide, to perform, to protect.
And protect. Never to feel. That's her blaming the patriarchy right there.
And the anonymous author of this article says that men have stopped seeing women as the answer to their problems, and that is a healthy thing. Well, she's right, but men aren't meditating their way out of relying on women for their problems. They wanted balance. They wanted someone to balance out their risk-taking and their masculinity and all those things that, when not checked, can run wild. And the answer to that is fifth wave feminism, which is like Andrew Tate, who just reapplies the same feminist values in reverse. And that's what she's asking for when you take away the ability of the feminine and the masculine to balance out each other. We're seeing it in the extremes on both ends. The feminist, extreme and the masculine extreme have both been perpetuated by our internet society, and it is not going well. And that's part of the reason men are checking out. It's because we've both become extreme on both ends, and we don't even have each other to moderate the difference. We need each other for balance. God created us each to balance each other out, and when those courtships don't happen, men and women suffer. So this woman who wrote the article has participated in stripping men of their purpose, shaming them for trying to take agency and for being motivated, and then she's asking where they all went. Well, when you're 54 years old and you're looking for a date and you can't find one, do not be surprised that men have checked out, because you were the teller at the checkout counter, scanning all the groceries on the way to shaming them out of the dating scene and out of the courtship ritual. And if there's an answer to this, it is an honor-based culture that men can thrive in, that men can be honored in, and that men can receive respect within. And everything in society right now is telling us to sit on the sidelines and let everybody else cook, and then everybody's surprised when where have all the good men gone? Well, sometimes they still congregate, just not with you, because they don't want to be HR'd out of the life that they wanted to live in the first place.